Hi everyone, today I'm back with some more doll clothes. This is going to be a video on all three. I originally intended to do four, so sorry if it gets a little confusing in the video, but I got to three today and I wanted to show you all how I made these. I have been designing like crazy, so I thought why not just show you all three at once. Here we have a cute little romper, some leggings, and this is a cardigan. And I will be showing you how to make all three of these today. I also have all of these available for purchase down below. I'll be sure to include a link. As I've stated before, these are patterns that I'm making myself. I'm drawing them out by hand and everything, so they're not professional by any means, but they will give you this exact result. And I also show you what they look like on our Jade doll, which is the Minikane doll that all these patterns are made for. So if you're ready to learn how to make all of these, keep on watching. To start, I want to show you all what the patterns look like once they are printed off. I recommend printing these at 100% or as is. This is on regular printer paper, letter size, so that's also important. And I also started including a little test line where you could, use your ruler to line it up, and it should be 2 inches long, just so you can double check that it printed correctly. And here we have the leggings pattern, the cardigan pattern, and the romper pattern. So I'll go ahead and start with the leggings and then work my way through the other two, so you can go ahead and skip around the video if you're only interested in the steps for one or the other, or whatever you want to do. So let's get started on that. The first one will be the leggings. Okay, so for the leggings, I have my 2 leg cuff pieces. My waistband piece looks like this. It is cut on the fold, so there's that. And then whenever I say mirrored, I mean you want a left and a right. So I basically just like to fold my fabric and place the pattern piece on top, and then we have 2 mirrored pieces like this. Onto the cardigan, we have our 1 back piece cut on the fold, 2 front pieces cut mirrored, so again they are the direct opposite of each other. The big band, I included the measurement here, and our 2 sleeves. Then we have the romper. This is the 2 pant legs cut on the fold. And then we have 4 of these pieces. And that's it for... With the leggings, the first step is going to be to actually sew the leg, or the crotch seams, the front and the back. Now you want to be able to keep track of these. So you see how this front is a little smaller and it's a little higher up. That's because that's normally, how everybody's fronts is, and then the back is, more room for the booty. So there's that. So go ahead and just serge these 2 curves, 1/4 seam allowance, or if you're sewing with a sewing machine, go ahead and do either a lightning bolt stitch or a triple straight stitch will work for this too. But again, we're just doing these 2 curves to start, and let's head on over to my serger. So this is my serger. It's a Juki model, so this is what I'm going to be using today. And all I'm going to do is line up with my knife and go on the first curve. And with curves, you just kind of want to straighten them out, but not stretch them. And same thing with the other one, or the other side, I mean. Okay, now I'm going to show you the next step. So here is the leg, and now we're going to add the waistband. Remember how I said the front is always a little smaller than the back? So you want to make sure you keep track of that. So we're going to add the waistband now, and I'm going to add a clip to where my back is. I usually do blue for back. I don't know, that's just a little trick, but whatever you have on hand. And then we are going to put the waistband together by sewing down this line for the raw edges. So I just put my waistband right sides together, and I'm going to sew right there. Next, I'm going to kind of open it up and expose the right side of the fabric to the outside like this. Next, I'm going to line up the back seam with the back seam on the leggings, like this. Then I'm going to find the center front and line it up with the center front of the leggings. Add a clip, and then we're just going to go all the way around, making sure that we're catching all 3 layers and putting them together, or sewing them together like this. So there's what that looks like. And I'm just going to start from the back and try my best to line up the 2 seams in the back. I'm actually going to take the clip off now since I already know where the back is. Again, try to really line those up. For this, you can just press it down to make sure that your seams stay intact. And then just make sure that you're catching all 3 layers. Take off your clip and just go all the way around. I'm going to cut this off and then just keep going for about 1 inch. And then I like to serge off, clip it, and then try to expose the 2 long threads and tie those up and cut them off. So here's what our leggings look like so far. Next, I'm going to expose the legs like this. Looks kind of weird, but we're actually going to sew on our leg cuffs now, and we're going to sew them on flat. So what I mean by that is normally you sew your cuff and you sew it on just like we did the waistband. But since it's so small, we're actually going to do it on the flat side. So all you want to do is fold it like this, hot dog style, right sides together. And all you're going to do is sew it to the bottom of the leg and stretch it. So you could even add a clip here in the start. And then stretch it and add a clip to the ends. And you really want to make sure that all you're doing is stretching this top leg cuff. I'm going to add a clip in the middle too, because when we take this clip off, we want to make sure that everything is still lining up. So let me show you how I'm going to sew this on now. Okay, so we have our 3 clips. I'm going to take it off, and I'm going to make sure that I'm starting right there, and I'm going to really hold it down so that nothing shifts out of line, and at the same time I'm going to kind of stretch everything out. Stretch the leg cuff out to match everything. So you just really want to make sure that you're grabbing this starting point and that nothing shifts out of place. Okay, sorry. There we go. Okay, then you can take the clip off and remember to only stretch the cuff. And then in this last part, you're gonna keep stretching it. And I like to hold it in this corner right here, as I just let it sew through. And there you have it. The little leg cuff is all attached. I'm going to do the same with the other side. Here's what our leggings look like so far, and all that's left is to sew this line. So you're going to straighten it out, push the legs apart, and then when you sew, you want to make sure that you're aligning up these cuffs and sewing down, and then lining up these 2 crotch seams. And then when you keep going, you want to line up the end cuffs again. So you could even put 3 clips right there, here, here, and here, but I'm just going to go for it. So again, I just like to really press on when I'm first starting, just so that nothing is shifting out of place. I even like to just put it under the foot to make sure that, I'm getting a really good start. Everything's lining up. And I'm going to go. But I'm also going to hold it here. And then remember to line up these. Keep going. And then line up the cuffs at the end. Now when you're cutting off, you want to leave about a 1/2 inch. And I'm going to show you how to finish the leggings. So now I'm going to take this and kind of unravel it. Take the 2 longest threads and pull them. And then tie a few knots. And do this with both sides. And then I'll come back and show you the finished product. Well, that kind of tore off, but it's okay. We're just going to cut it anyway. And then do the same with the other side. Here's what the leggings look like. And I actually have the doll with me, so I'm going to do a little try on for you guys. Okay, here is what the leggings look like on our doll. Hair is everywhere, okay. Just a little spin. That's what she looks like. So now let's move on to the next item. Next is the cardigan, and we're going to open up the back piece and then place our front pieces on top, lining up this arm curve and the shoulders. And that's the first step, actually, is to sew the shoulders together. And again, I'm going to use a 1/4 seam allowance. So super simple, you just want to sew down the shoulder. Oh, and I probably forgot to mention, but these are right sides together. Pretty much everything with sewing is sewing it right sides together. Here is what it looks like so far, and next we are going to attach our sleeves. So I'm actually going to lay it out like this. And here are our 2 sleeves. You just want to place them right sides together, like this. Or I mean wrong sides together, sorry. You're gonna do wrong sides together and then place it right side to one side. So you just want to place it on the curve like this and then clip one side so that when you open it, it should look like this. Sorry, it's kind of hard to tell with this waffle fabric, but this is what it should look like. And then same with the other side. So all I did was I'm looking at the curve, I'm looking at this curve, and then I'm placing it right on the seam and attaching a clip. And then when we go to sew, we're going to align these 2 and then make sure that we're aligning all the raw edges. Keep going and then finish it off by lining up everything else. Okay, so I'm actually just going to line up the starting points. I don't normally use clips for this, but you can if you already, or if you feel more comfortable with that. So I'm just going to go ahead and start. And then make sure I'm bringing it over. I mostly keep the front piece below and then just shift the sleeve piece on top. And then match my endpoints. And we're good. I already did the other side too, so let's move on to the next step. So this is what it's looking like with both sleeves attached. Next, I'm actually going to hem the sleeve with my cover stitch, but you can even just serge it over it or hem with your sewing machine, however you want to finish this off. I'm going to just fold it about 3/8 of an inch and just cover stitch it to form a little hem and, you know, have it nice. Here's what that looks like. I just hemmed it with my cover stitch real quick. Okay, but next we are going to bring the front pieces over to the back like this. Everything is going to be right sides together. And then we are going, I have it upside down right now. So this is a little cardigan and I have it upside down. So what we're going to do is sew up the side like this, up the side, and then up the sleeve. So here's the side, and then we're going to go up the sleeve. And what I like to do is just curve it. And the reason I'm starting at the bottom is so that I can line up the sleeve a lot better, since that's a really important part. But you can do whichever side you're more comfortable with. But again, all we're going to do is sew up the sides. So just line it up as best as you can. And once you get to this little corner, you just straighten it. I like to kind of bunch up this side and And then you want to also line up the end of your sleeve. I'm going to pinch it down here so everything lines up. And then I'm going to use the ends of my serger tail and just unravel them. Take the two longest ones, pull them tightly, and then to secure it, I just tie it a couple times. Just, you know, some regular knots. And then you can cut it off and it's finished. I'm going to do the same to the other side. Here's what the little cardigan looks like so far. And next we're going to grab our band piece. And with this piece, all you really need to do is just attach it all throughout this opening. Sorry again that you can't really see with this fabric. We're just going to go all along this, so up the front, towards the back, and down the side, the front side I mean. So all I'm going to do is fold my band in half and place it right sides together. So this is the right side, and just sew it. And what I like to do is stretch it a tiny little bit, just that'll just help so that it lays nicely. And you're just going to go all the way around, and it's okay if you have extra. I made it that way just in case. So let's go ahead and do that. So again, you're just taking your band piece, folding it. Wait, let me adjust my camera. Okay, I felt like I was really close. Okay, so we're taking it, and I'm just folding it. And I'm starting this side again, right sides together, and I'm just lining them up. You could even give yourself some wiggle room and start it there. And I'm going to put it under the foot, making sure that everything is lined up. And go. Next, I'm going to keep going and follow the curve. And then line it up with the back. I am stretching it just a little tiny bit. With waffle, if you overstretch it, it tends to get really small, so I don't want to do that. Then we want to come back down. Okay, let me see what that looks like. So at this point, you could turn your sleeves right side out. And check it out for yourself, what it's looking like. Here's your little cardigan. So it's looking good. I wanted to make sure that I didn't have to redo it, but it looks pretty good. So I'm going to just snip off here at the end so that it lines up. Same with this other side. And clip off any random threads. And then the very last step is to just hem the bottom. Again, you can do your hem however you like. You could just serge all the way. You can hem with your sewing machine. Whatever you want. I'm just going to use my cover stitch like I did with my sleeves. And I'll get back to you. So here's what the cardigan looks like all finished, and let's go ahead and do a fit test. So here it is on the doll. I do like most of my items to hit, you know, around her waist. So if you want to make this longer, you can. You can even make it duster length, but this is what it looks like on her. There's the back. And let's move on to the next item. Okay, next is the romper, and we are going to start on the bodice. So you have your 4 pieces, and what you want to do is make 2 sets and put each one right sides together. Okay, now that we have them like this, we are going to go ahead and sew all the shoulders together. So you have 4 parts to sew. Okay, for small pieces like this, I like to just put them under my presser foot and go. It just makes, since we don't really have any like wiggle room to really grab it and make sure that it doesn't shift, this helps. And same with the other side. Okay, so here are the two sections. We have our main pieces and our lining pieces. And now we want to put them right sides together. So open them up and put them right sides together. And next we are going to sew the neck hole all together. So you want to go all the way around here. Since it's the same all the way around, it doesn't really matter where you start. But I'm just going to put any piece underneath the foot. It is a little difficult because it's round. I don't know how else to say it. And it's small, so I'm just gonna go for it. And then I'm not cutting anything off, so that was a bit too much there. Okay, but then you just want to line up all your seams and straighten as you go. I'm going to cut off this and keep going for about a ½ inch. I just serge off, and since it's going to be in the inside, it doesn't really matter how you finish it. Okay, next I'm going to open it up so that all the right sides are facing out. Sorry, I just kind of wiggle it around. This is what I mean by all the right sides. So everything that we just sewed is inside there. Okay, now comes the tricky part. We're going to do a burrito roll, and what that means is we're going to finish these armholes here, but by essentially putting one side inside the other. So you just want to take whichever side you want, left or right. This is called the burrito roll method. And then you just roll one towards the other side. And then once you get to about here, you're going to open up the other area. So you're going to open it up like this to expose the seams. Then you want to grab it and then put everything right sides together. So the trick here is we're going to sew this, but you want to tuck everything inside so that you don't catch it. And then you're going to sew. So if you what's it called? If you have trouble with this, I'm going to show you how I do it. Since it is a really small area, I'm going to just start how I normally do anything. Straighten it out. And then once we're getting to about here, you really want to push everything to the left. That's inside here. You're going to push it to the left and grab everything else. And that's the parts you're going to sew. So really try and make this area as big as possible by pushing everything inside to the left as much as possible. And then I'm just going to keep my finger around here. And then basically align everything and keep going. Okay, see. It did kind of start going off a little bit, but it looks pretty much as good as it's gonna get. So now we have this, and all you want to do is open it up by pulling everything out. And now you have a nice clean finish on that one side. If I can get it to look okay. Just kind of play around with it till everything's laying nicely. Okay, there. And we're going to do the same with the other side, except we're going to roll the finished side towards the unfinished, and then I'll be back. So now you should have something that looks like this, and all you're going to do is sew. So you have your left and your right side. You're going to take your left sides and sew the bodice together like this, these two together. And then you're going to do the same with the other side. Open it up and sew the bodice pieces together. So you essentially are just sewing down the sides. once you sew those, you just want to grab the shoulders and kind of just shake it out. And now you have your bodice. Just kind of play around with it so that it looks nicer, but now we're done with that, and I'm going to grab the pant pieces. So for the pant pieces, you just want to place them right sides together, and we're going to sew down the sides like this, down both sides. Okay, here's what that looks like. Next, we're going to take our bodice piece, flip it, and place it inside the legs like this. And then we are going to line up the side seams and place a clip there. So here it is with both clips, and now all you're going to want to do is sew all the way around, making sure to catch all 3 pieces. Now the legs are a little long or larger than the bodice, so it's okay if you stretch the bodice a little bit to fit. It'll still look okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you that now. Okay, so I actually took the clips off, but you can keep them on, of course. And oops, sorry. Let me actually get in frame here. And I'm just going to start right before the seam so that I can line it up. And you just want to make sure you're catching all 3 layers and that everything is evenly spaced. Here is the other seams coming up, so I'm going to make sure to line up those. And then line up the rest of the fabric. I am kind of having to stretch the bodice a little bit, but that's okay. Then I'm going to cut this off and keep going about an inch past it. And then I just serge off, clip, and pull these a little bit, and then tie this. So now before we close off the legs, I'm going to hem the bottom. So I'm just going to expose this like this and hem the bottom. I'm going to use my cover stitch for this. You could also use your sewing machine or just serge it or leave it raw, whatever method you prefer, but I'm just going to hem it really quick, about a 1/2 inch towards itself like this. Okay, I lied. I actually ended up doing about 3/8 of an inch. But next we are going to put our romper back like this, and all we're going to do now is close off this curve, and all we're going to do is straighten it out like this and sew it all the way along. And you want to make sure, of course, that you're lining up the ends of the bottom of the legs, I mean, for both sides. So let's do that next. To start, I'm going to clip these little threads off a bit, because I'm going to put this underneath my foot so that I can just kind of grab it here and make sure that everything is lining up, and then get started. And then all you want to do is kind of bunch it up here so that you could straighten it out. And then of course straighten out the rest of this. And I'm just going to really press it down so that it stays together. And I'm going to use the same method I've been using. Just unravel these threads, tie them off to finish the edge. Here's what it looks like all finished, and let's get this on our doll for the fit test. Okay, here it is on Jade. I will admit this was a little hard to put on her just because the hands don't move as much, but just make sure you're using a really stretchy fabric and it should be good to go. I really like the back here. Let me show you. The back is really cute and it's a really nice fit in my opinion, so I'm really happy with how this turned out.